Hello and welcome to the Genuine Learning Blog. Happy New Year, happy new decade. My name is Melisa Galasso and I'm excited to be with you today to talk about a new decade, a new CPA perhaps. So instead of doing our normal kickoff for the 2020 annual review of what came out in 2019, I wanted to start 2020 with a blog about the new changes that are coming down the pike for CPAs. First, changes to CPA exam, then changes for those who are in industry, as well as changes for those who are in public accounting. And so I wanted to just talk a little bit about change, because one of the things we know is a new decade, a new year is going to bring change. So let's start off with CPA Evolution. So CPA Evolution is a little bit of a name change. So they had been talking about this for some time, and they had put out an exposure draft that didn't get well received. They had talked about allowing non-accountants to become CPAs, and NASBA and the AICPA put that proposal out there, and CPAs by and large were not fond of that proposal. So they went back to the drawing board and they've created a new proposal that they want to share with us for the new year. So what is CPA Evolution? Well, it aims to transform the CPA licensure model in recognition of the changes that are happening daily. And again, this is a joint effort between NASBA and the AICPA. So this is something that I learned by looking through the proposal issued by the AICPA and NASMA. So I was born in 1980, not to give away my birthday or my age, but apparently that's going to happen today. And I thought this was an amazing stat. There are 3 times as many pages in the Internal Revenue Code, 4 times as many accounting standards, and 5 times as many auditing standards as there were in 1980 today. So in my very relatively short period of time on this earth, we have just promulgated a lot more regulation. And as a result, there's a lot more things that the CPA has to be able to do. And there's a lot more. So when people say, oh, I sat for the old 2.5-day CPA exam, tell them that it was about a quarter of the size of the topics that we cover today, right? So that's always my quick response now. And what we know is change is happening in the profession. We know that offshoring is occurring, that a lot of, it was originally just the 1040 and then EBP audits and then other simple audits that were being offshored to other countries. We know things are being automated, that computers are replacing things that first year staff used to do. Paraprofessionals are now doing work that used to be done by CPAs. And so procedures are changing and what we expect of them. And technology is not only taking away some of the other stuff, but it's giving us new things that we can work on, but we have to have the requisite skills to be able to do that. So we need to better understand technology if we want to use it to improve where we're going. And so when we look at the skills of the future, the AICPA has looked at what they feel are those skills of the future: critical thinking, professional judgment, and skepticism, understanding the business. And I think this is an important one. No matter what you do, audit, tax, or if you're internal, you have to understand how a business works in order to be effective, right? You need to understand, even if you're internal to the entity, how marketing, how business development all comes in to make that company run. If you're auditing it, it helps you understand the risks that you can be responsive to. If you're doing the taxes, it can help you at planning. And so as a result, I think that's one of the big ones, is that you can't go in there and just know accounting. You have to know how a business works: systems, controls, risks, data management, and analysis. There's been a lot of talk about data analytics and moving away from sampling back to 100% review, and then problem solving, right? And I think that's the one that we all need to work on, because today everything is a lot more complex than it used to be. So the AICPA and NASBA are promoting a new concept for the CPA exam. So their basic concept here is we're going to have a core, and that's going to be accounting, audit, tax, and tech. Everybody would have to pass a section of the core, right? So you'd have to be able to pass accounting, audit, tax, and tech are the 3 areas, or the 4 areas that are they deemed to be core. And then you would pick a specialty, and that would be tax compliance and planning, business reporting and analysis, and information systems and controls. And so that would be the add-on specialty. And you would have to pass one of those 3 in order to become a CPA. But no matter what one you picked, tax, reporting, or information system, you still get the same CPA license. And this is based on the professional engineer licensure model. So they looked at a bunch of different models. They looked at the medical models. They looked at a couple of different other professions that have specialties and decided that they felt the professional engineer model, where everyone gets the same PE license regardless of what they take within their specialty. And so they wanted to be able to say, focus on the basics here, and then go out and get your specialty. And so they are promoting this new concept. Now, they haven't talked about percentages or any of the details underlying this model because it's still too new. So they wanted to kind of throw this out there and see what we thought as part of this process. So if you have thoughts on this new model, you can go to, or you can email feedback@evolutionofcpa.org and give them your thoughts, because they definitely took our thoughts into consideration. And you'll notice that the core still requires an accounting background, which was one of the feedback we got from the last round of changes. And so we definitely want to be thinking about the CPA of the future and how we're going to continue to develop the profession. So I want to turn from the future of having more CPAs in the profession to what's going on in the audit world. And this is in the area of the dynamic audit solution. The AICPA has been working heavily to develop a methodology again. So the AICPA used to be in the methodology business, and then they got out of the methodology business and they stayed in the sort of standard business, but now they're getting back in. And this is all about disruption. We don't want to be like the hotels that were disrupted by an outside party, or taxis that were disrupted by an outside party. We want to sort of disrupt ourselves. And if you've ever heard Barry Melanson, who's the CEO of the AICPA, speak, he is all about disrupting the profession. And so technology, AI, automation, data analytics is the future of the audit profession. And the goal of the dynamic audit solution, or DAS, is to rethink the audit from the ground up. There are no, sacred cows. Everything is up for consideration, and we're going to embrace the technology. And so they are in the process of developing a new methodology, transformative, innovative, dynamic, focusing on data, focusing on analytics, AI. It's going to be an all-encompassing, using all of the available technology, and the AICPA is funding it through the major firms group. So back in 2018, 40% of the AICPA major firms, along with PCPS and CPA.com, committed to launching this DAS. And so they've been pretty good so far. So in 2017, they developed the strategy. In 2018, they finalized the plan. They started building it, the roadmap, all the pieces of it in 2019, and then they are going to release it over time. So obviously initial, what we call MVP, which is most viable product. So we want to make sure that we get something out there, minimum viable product. So it's going to have the basics, but then they're going to build out industries. So we'll start with our basic plain Jane audit, and then build out industries, build out the different support. They've started this already. If you're familiar with OnPoint PCR, that was released in June of 2018, and it's for preparation, compilation, and review. And you're able to see some of the dashboarding, the cloud-based solution, and the components. And then the goal is to continue even after this to build this even further. So for those of you who work in audit, we're going to see throughout 2020 a focus on building this into the audit methodology, into the strategy, into how we do an audit. And so kind of exciting to see what's coming down this next decade. And for those of you who are in industry, you are also not alone. They just updated the CGMA competency framework, and that's designed for management accountants. And what skills do you need for your current role and your desired future role? And as you can see here, no surprise, this is focusing in on technical skills, because you need that as your basics. Your business skills, we talked about how that's really a core, people and leadership. And then the center of that is your digital skills. And then as we move forward, you have ethics, integrity, and professionalism. So this was just updated. They had, I think it was, I want to say 2014, but I'm not exactly sure the last year that they had updated the framework. But they really put a lot of effort into this. And they've added this concept of what does it mean at various proficiency levels. So if you're a first-year staff or you're a C-suite executive, right, we have different requirements that we'll need to come out of this. And so the framework is broken down by these proficiency levels, because we believe that the future of finance is not reporting, right? Today, we think of finance as a reporting function. We talk about history, but that's in the information, right? We don't want to just be information, and we don't want to be insight. We want a seat at the table. We want to influence, and we want to impact. And so our goal is to be able to use data and to leverage the data that we're familiar with to be able to help make decisions and be at that table to help advance the future of finance. So we're hoping that by developing this framework that we be able to leverage those skills, people skills, data skills, all of those different skill sets to advance the profession. So as we look at the upcoming decade, I'd love to hear from you. What are your expectations for some of the change that we expect to see throughout the year, changes to the CPA exam, changes to how we do an audit, and changes to those in industry, so that we can embrace the change and look forward to a very dynamic year ahead. So again, I want to thank you so much for joining me on the Genuine Learning blog. I am super excited for an amazing 2020. I want to wish you all a very happy new year, and I hope to see you on a future Genuine Learning blog. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.